Nice job last night. I thought that live podcast that you did was great. You represented. Nice.
I was gonna say, I feel like I live on LinkedIn Live now. Yesterday morning, tonight, and then this morning. It's like, man,
crazy.
Good morning, Todd from the beach on vacation and joining us.
So what's interesting is that people have asked about how you get LinkedIn Live, and LinkedIn Live is based on your audience and based on your content. You have to be approved for it, and then even when people get approved for it. We were approved years ago, year and a half ago. We didn't do it until we had something relevant to share, which is this. Just to get on and go live and waste people's time, is sort of not working. But we're here, baby, every morning at 8 o'clock. And the people from the Huddle that tuned in last night to the live, man, it was crazy.
It was awesome.
That was great.
It was a good show. He did a great job. I mean, he had an old coaching video queued up for me, and they brought in some great questions from outsiders. So it was a fun time. It was a fun hour.
You were a sick coach, dude. You really were.
I mean, I'm not that different in this kind of stuff. It was interesting to see that, and for me to retrospectively look at it and say, how is it really different than what I'm doing now? It's not really different. Like the things I was saying in that video were all techniques. I'm making people aware of the situation. Hey guys, we're in the red zone. The field is condensed. We got to put bodies on people quicker. I'm talking about how to position your feet and your hands. It's the exact same thing I'm talking about now. Like the situation is, where are people's awareness and attention, and how do you get their attention? And then what are the techniques you're using and the words you're using to drive conversations, to build relationships? Like it's the exact same. I'm just doing it in a different field.
I love that. You use the word technique, and I've had this argument, long ago, about a master's degree. I have friends of mine that are doctors and attorneys and, scholars, who have a master's degree, and salespeople for some reason go under the mindset that, if you ask them, hey, do you have a master's degree? No. My friends do, but I don't. Well, guess what? I've been doing this for 40 years. You bet your ass I have a master's degree. I have learned the art and the technique of what to do, how to do it, when to do it, who to do it with. And that's really the art of the game. And I don't even want to call it selling anymore, because
it's building relationships. Right. It's the art of building relationships. It's how do you show up for people in a way that makes you trustworthy, that makes them like you because of how they feel when they're around you. That is a skill set and an art form in itself that obviously you've mastered, and I peel as much as I can from you off of that and continuing to move in the same vein. But that is what sales is about.
Last night you made me, really proud listening to that, and they were asking you, and you referenced me a bunch of times, and I appreciate that, because before me, I had my dad and a series of mentors, and people are afraid to own up to it. I didn't know shit, like one of the things I commented last night was that I sucked. Everything that we're good at right now, we sucked at one point,
100%.
Decided to get better at it. So tons of stuff for Terrific Tuesday. The song, which is the four top song of the day, is, the whole idea of it's the same old song. People in sales keep waiting to get to a destination. They keep waiting to get to a place where it goes, I got to the top of the mountain and I can stop doing all the things that got me here. That's a fallacy. It's the same old song. Being in sales is boring. It's not sexy. Doing the same shit every single day, same old song, is what really works. And when I drill that into people and they finally get it, man, boom, they go, okay, all I got to do is do this, keep my eyes off the scoreboard, and the rest will take care of itself. Incredible. Just incredible. So I got some fun stuff, as I like to do on, during the week, and occasionally throw out some stuff. So I started drinking tea, and thank you for all that are noticing that my face is different. I'm actually wearing pants today for the first time in 90 days,
Jeans, baby. Let's go.
Mark and I have a face-to-face meeting in the real world, baby. We're back to it. So we're getting in the field. We're real excited to work with a brand new client. You'll hear more about that, but we're going to visit one of their locations. And so really, really pumped, really excited. But anyway, I started drinking tea, and one of the teas that Michelle got for me is called Cup of Sunshine. And it brought up to me, it's like, wow, what a cool name. Like, if you drink this, it's going to be, things are going to be sunny, So I started thinking about that. It relates to, in my book, the power of pure persuasion. The words that you say, the words that you digest can persuade you to change behavior. And that's going to be the word of the day. But let's just listen to this description of what I'm drinking. More affectionately known as Kana, is a low-growing herbaceous succulent that thrives in South Africa. Native tribes consider Kana sacred and have used it in healing rituals for generations. Most love it for its mood-lifting benefits and that it can make any day feel like a sunny afternoon. Boom! I can't wait to drink more of that shit. More of that shit on my body and shower in it. But in my book, I talk about being in the zone, and if you relate that to Popeye, Popeye had spinach. When he was down, when he didn't feel strong, he ate spinach. Find your spinach. Cup of Sunshine is my spinach.
I love it.
Comment? Anything to share there?
It ain't all sunshine and rainbows. How about that?
Boy.
It was too easy. It was like it was an alley-oop. I had to take it.
Yes, it is. Bam. Second cool thing of the day. I read a story about a pastor, and this is a really cool story, Samuel Bagaga, who received a call asking him to come to a church member's home in the middle of the night. When he arrived, the house was fully engulfed. The father, though burned himself, had re-entered the house to rescue one of his children. He brought the daughter out. The hospital, which is in a Ugandan setting, was 6 miles away. No transportation available. The pastor and the father started running to the hospital with the child. When one of them got tired, the other took over. Together, they made the journey. The father and his daughter were treated and fully recovered. You can't make this shit up. So if you're doing it alone, McFly, wake up and get somebody to do it with. Because when you tire and when you have human emotions like fear and doubt, one of the best things about working with Mark is I now have somebody who is running with me. Not behind me, not ahead of me. He's running with me, man. So I love that. So I don't know if you want to comment.
No, I think, you can't do it alone. And, you just hit on it. But it's easy to get, and especially if it's your idea and it's the thing you're building, it's easy to get wrapped up. And I got to do it all myself because I want it done my way. But the best leaders in the world hire the right people around them to trust the people around them to take them to new heights.
Unbelievable. Some friends I haven't seen in a while. Ray Mesa is here. Josh Folds is here. Matty Barnes is in the house, man.
Matty Barnes,
man. So good to see you, brother, man. It's been way, way too long. And I hope that we can take it out of virtual and make it personal. So anyway, so let's jump into the topic of the day. Our mantra is to share good thoughts. Some of you have taken what we're producing here, resharing it to your audience, please. Last night, Mark did a live podcast, and that was for the benefit of somebody's audience. Howie Craw, who's in here, Howie does, a similar show at 7:00 in the morning. We do this at 8. JC does something at 9. People are speaking to their audience. And whether you get one person, an audience of one is still really powerful. So today I want to use the word pure persuasion. So do me a favor there, my son. Just what are the thoughts that come to your mind right off the bat about persuasion? And then I'm going to give you the Wikipedia definition.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. I think sometimes persuasion gets a very negative connotation because it's like you're making somebody do something that they wouldn't want to do, or you're trying to get your agenda pushed across to them. So influence is the key, term for me. Is you're influencing other people to do one thing or another.
Incredible. So first of all, spot on. Congratulations. Persuasion is an umbrella term of influence. It can attempt to influence a person's beliefs, attitudes, intentions, motivations, or behaviors. In business, persuasion is a process aimed at changing or affecting a person's attitude or behavior towards some event, idea, or object. So the reason why I want to talk about this is that, the old school sales mentality, is that I'm going to force you to think like me. Think of, most people say, what's the vision that comes into your head when you think of a sales professional or a salesperson? What comes into most people's head?
It's negative. It's pushy. The used car salesman.
Used car guy.
Over on you and
universally, that's where people go. When I told my parent, when I told my friends, I'm gonna be a professional in sales, they're like, really? So the idea that if you're going to be in sales and you want to make it a profession, there's certain skill sets, and I'll talk about this in totality. 10 skill sets that I think you need to have in order to be successful in sales. One of them, and maybe one of the most crucial, is to be able to persuade people, not trick them, not force them, not push them into a place where they're uncomfortable. But what do you think, and this is sort of off the cuff, what do you think is the number one way to persuade somebody?
Interesting. Number one way to persuade somebody, I would say show evidence.
For
me, it would be tapping.
Wow. So really it's about education. Most people are ignorant to what you're talking about or what you're trying to sell them. So if the mentality is, I'm going to jam it down their throat or I'm going to trick them, this is a doozy. You know what? Let me see what I can do. I'll go to my manager. I've actually been behind the scenes when the guy goes outside and smokes a cigarette, which is and then comes back and is sitting there talking about, hey, all right, I spoke to my manager and we could do this, that type of selling is over. So I want to talk to you about some words and some phrases that might be able to influence it. You have some of them in front of you, Mark. So why don't you share one of the first ones?
So are you jumping all the way down to insights from exactly what to say?
Go to where you are.
You will probably refuse, or that section.
Right. You were probably interested. What happened with you're probably interested or you'll probably refuse? That right. Does.
So you want to bring up just the topics, or what do you want to do with it here?
Yeah. So there are certain phrases, certain words, and here's the first one. I'll jump in and then you'll carry my lead. So there was an experiment when people were standing on the street and they were asking people to support a certain charity. They said, here, you are probably interested in organizations for children with health problems. I wonder if you could help us by making a donation. 25% of the people approached, complied. Only 25%, 1 in 4. All right, numbers aren't terrible, but here's you want to do the other side of it?
So instead of using you're probably interested, they switched it to saying you will probably refuse before continuing on to ask for the donation, and then it jumped to 39%. So telling somebody that they probably didn't want it, but then explaining to them what it was, immediately put in their minds, wait a minute, why wouldn't I want this? So now they're actually listening to what it is, hearing the value of it, and now you're incentivizing people to actually do it.
This is a fundamental and crucial part of giving people an out. So everybody that I talk to, this would blow new salespeople's minds. I take them on the road with me. We'd go out, we'd be in a pitch, and I would say, hey, listen, I just want to let you know right up front, I am totally cool if this isn't for you and you don't want to move forward. I'm totally cool. I accept no really, really well. And the rookie sales guy would look at me like, what the fuck did you just do? People don't want to get boxed in. Think about yourself. You don't want to get boxed into a place where, you can't say no, or you're uncomfortable saying no. Most people have a problem with rejection. They don't want to reject anybody. So it's actually a psychological term called reactance, which states most people have an adverse reaction when a restriction is imposed on them. Freewheeling. Hey, listen, I want you to free your brain about any kind of trick or tactic or anything of me trying to sell you. Let's just go down the road of what if, what's possible, what's hurting.
And to simplify it, right? Everybody wants what they can't have. So as soon as you tell somebody, hey, this probably isn't for you, the first thing they say in their mind is, what do you mean? Why wouldn't this be for me? Right? I mean, it doesn't matter. I could be holding an ice cube, right, in the middle of Alaska and say, this probably isn't for you. And the person will go, what do you mean it's not for me? Why isn't it for me? So you immediately grab their attention and open their brain to say, wait a minute, why? What's coming after that?
So it's really interesting in the book, Confessions of a Serial Salesman, my book, by the way, I put the 3 best words in sales, and the middle word of those 3 is fit. Like, you're not a fit for everybody, and knowing that going in and sharing that with people, say, hey, listen, and I'll tell you the 3 words. The 3 words are, I've removed appointments and meetings and all of that crap. I just want to visit with you. Nobody's bringing brochures to a visit. Hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Can I stop by for a visit? I'll bring donuts and we'll just shoot the shit. That's a nice way to approach friends. You don't, go to your friends with an agenda. Hey, I need to stop by because I need you to give me $100. Yes. So the first word is visit. The second word, which is the pivotal part of the dance, is a fit. Now, listen, I don't know any sales professional that bats 100. I don't know anybody that hits every foul shot. I don't know everybody that hits every, there is no absolute. So going into the game, understanding that you're not going to sell everybody, remove the barrier, remove the obstacle. Here's the obstacle. Like, you already are listen, I just, what, we can do this dance and we can stay friends forever. We can have beers at 5 o'clock, but you do not have to buy from me for you to be in my world. And I'm cool with that. That has worked like magic.
That's awesome. And that actually reminds me of another thing that we had been talking about the other day, which is the hypothetical, right? Because you're removing the, okay, I'm okay with no, so there's no fear of being told no or saying no in that section. And the same thing with an objection of saying, well, I can't, because the hypothetical then is to remove that and say, well, if you did have that, would you? Because going back to whether or not if it's a fit, if you give them the hypothetical problem solving tool and they won't continue to move forward, then it's over and they're not a fit anyway. Right. And I have a great story about this when I was at ESPN, because ESPN Digital was not for everyone, right? And so I actually, as we got into the dialogue with somebody, I said, look, I really don't think that this is the right tactic for you in the digital marketing landscape. Some other things that might be better, but I don't think ESPN is it. And when I did that, they only pushed harder to do it, but I was being honest and I was like, no, seriously, guys, like, I can't, I don't want to do it with you. I don't think it's going to work. It's not great. Like, but the more I said no to them, the more they wanted to do it even more.
So, it's interesting because, in my company as a startup, when we started on the ball, everybody, LT back in the house, and you bet your ass you're well dressed, man. I hope I see you on the golf course today. Anyway, when my company got to know me as a revenue whore. Because I took every deal. I used to do it for sport. Just because I could bring it in doesn't mean you should. And the more, again, we go back to the power of no. Who you saying no to gets you closer to the people you should be saying yes to, and vice versa. So you can't be everything to everybody. The power of persuasion is really about education and influence. The more we influence people, and this show is a perfect example. Unbelievable shout out, an old friend, Barry Goodman, in the house. Brother, great to see you. Great to be connected on Facebook. Barry Sliper, who was my bagel partner every single morning. This man, great to see you. You never know who's going to wake up and join us. But, the whole idea here is that If you create influence, somebody may not buy from you, but they absolutely know somebody who can. And that's where the world spins back at you. And, they go, oh, you should talk to these guys. They know what the fuck they're talking about, And so that has nothing to do with a sale. That is, to your point, that's the evidence. Prove it to me. We prove it to you every day. We have these relevant dialogues, really, really good stuff that you can't fake this every day. And God, am I having fun doing it?
It's awesome.
So you want to call it a day?
Yeah. I mean, it's 8:20. We got to get on the road. I got to get to Boca. Excited as hell to be out of the house and with a visit with a new client. So it's awesome. I'm excited about it and understand the power of persuasiveness, Yeah,
it's crazy. So just a couple of things. LT is bantering back and forth. He's going to be up in Jersey on the 29th. I think Byron told me that you guys are playing today up in Palm Beach. If so, I'm up for lunch and cigars and all that kind of fun stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this. All the new people that are here, welcome aboard. Bring somebody to the party. Remember that thing. Don't do it alone. When you reach out to somebody, could even be a prospect, and just say, hey, I watched this show in the morning. It really fires me up and gets me going. Bring them here. Add value before they buy. Boom. You guys have an awesome day, and thanks for being here. Love you, son.
Stay on the ball.